Ian, the duelist, and I want to talk about a bit of the nuance that there is between the two sides of HEMA and why they should be coexisting instead of bickering. HEMA for me has been a large part of my life since I was 14. I got very serious about it 3 years ago when I was 17. And yeah, it's been such a great journey, such a great personal development thing for me. And most importantly, I've gathered a great appreciation for both history, craftsmanship, and the martial arts and the sporting aspect of it. I think that HEMA is really comprised of two parts. For me, three, because I'm also a craftsman, this is the first sword I've ever made. I've made it 2 weeks ago, and it's the first one I've made from scratch. As you can see, it is a bit of a mess, but you know, there's a first time for everything, and I'll take it for my first. For most people, HEMA has two parts. There's two big parts of HEMA, two big types of practitioners. There are the people that prefer HEMA because of the sporting and martial aspect, and there are people who prefer HEMA because of the historical aspect. In my opinion, you need both equally as much as each other. You cannot have HEMA without people who know about the historical context of these. But you also cannot have HEMA without people who actually do the sporting aspect of it. Who spar and who go to tournaments, not to replicate what a fight would have been, but actually to win, to be the best fencer possible. You need both sparring as a competitive sport and as experimental archaeology for HEMA to be a complete activity. HEMA is not only a sport, it is also a branch of experimental archaeology. But it is not only a branch of experimental archaeology, it is also a sport. To ignore one of these is to lose a part of what makes HEMA such a great activity. HEMA can be a great gateway for people to learn about history. It is also a great gateway for people to get into martial arts, fitness, and develop health and discipline and humility. Since this is a martial art, there is no room for ego. That's a thing that I love about any martial art, is how much it builds your character. So does craftsmanship. But I see so much discord in HEMA that is about these two aspects of HEMA, these two fundamental pillars that make HEMA such a great activity. I see these two bickering all the time. I see tournament fighters that think that the people who do the more historical part of it see it as, oh, they're just nerds, or they're just doing it the wrong thing, or they're just fooling around. They're not HEMAists. They need to fight in tournaments, and you need to be in HEMA ratings to say correct things about HEMA, when really it's half of it. And I see this from the other side as well. I see people who don't fight in tournaments, who don't fence, who barely spar, who really should not be saying stuff about fencing, say stuff about fencing. Like, oh, it's not historically accurate. That technique in that tournament wasn't, that would have been, when really, and I've made this mistake. I've also made this mistake for sure. I was guilty of this. I've since realized that this is not the case, but I was guilty of this. Tournaments are not there to see what would have happened in history. Tournaments are there to test your skills as a fencer. And though I do believe that you should keep part of the context of fencing alive in a tournament, that's not the purpose of the tournament. Most tournaments are there to test your skill as a fencer. But that's not the only kind of sparring that matters. There's also the experimental archaeology sparring that would suggest replicating the circumstances of history and taking those into consideration instead of just your skill as a fencer. Both are equally important and equally valuable to HEMA, because HEMA is both historical and a martial art. And to lose part of this, lose either one, is to lose part of HEMA. And I don't think that we want this to either become another version of sport fencing, or for this to become just pure manuscript reading. We need both. We need good fencers, we need good researchers, and it's fine if you want to specialize in one. All I am saying is don't disregard the other. People do HEMA for a bunch of different reasons. And we should respect every one of these reasons. If it's not for you, it's not for you. For me personally, I like all of HEMA. Before I was more of the historical hipster types that say, oh, it's not historical, so I'm gonna remember it. But right now I see more of the sporting aspect, I see more of the competitive side of HEMA, and I realize its beauty. I realize why it's there. So yeah. This has been a bit of a short little rant, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you find it thought-provoking, interesting. Feel free to type in the comments what your thoughts on this are. I want to hear them. As long as we're not being douchebags, I'm good with comments being posted all willy-nilly. So yeah, thank you for listening, and fence on.